I goofed up bad. I goofed up bad.
Nick Villard talks comic books.
I spent a stupid amount of money on comic books. I know. Comic book shops are small businesses and they're hit particularly hard from COVID, and we probably should support them, but like it got out of hand. The silver lining to all this COVID stuff is that a lot of comic book shops, probably your local comic book shop, has set up online storefront. You can kind of just order comics from anywhere now, from any shop you want. And I like a lot of shops, and then so I started getting online, and then I just kind of blacked out. I came to like 6 days later, and I received a lot of media mail packages. It got bad. It got bad. This is so heavy. Look. That's not even it. That's not even all of it. There's so many boxes. Well, there's 3 boxes. There's 3 boxes. Do you want to see what I got and where I got it from? All right. First package is from Old City, Philadelphia. It's from Brave New World. It's a great comic shop. Rob and Brian run it. And it was the shop that I used to go to when I was living in Philly. And one of the reasons why I really love it is because Rob and Brian just have a love for comics. And every time I went in there, I'd go in for like 1 or 2 things. And then like I'd end up with like leaving with like 10 different things. Sometimes I'd go in there and I wouldn't look for anything in particular. And I'd just find stuff. Like they were so good at being like, oh, you got to read this. You got to read this. You got to read this. It's well lit. It's kid friendly. They did a thing on First Fridays in Philly where like it was like kind of like artsy, like people would sell wares on the street, and they had space in front of their comic shop, and they turned it into a gallery that featured comic book art. And I thought that was really great. It's a really great shop. If you're in the area, you should check it out. Let's crack the box. And look, they packed it. They packed it in comics. All right, here's what we got. I got an NES Pin, which is kind of tough to see, but it's a little cartridge. Love me some Zelda. I got Urasawa's 20th Century Boys. It's not really one of the books like that is his best work, quote unquote, but it's the one that was available, so I bought it. Pluto, people say, is his best work, but I'm excited to get into 20th Century Boys as well. Sock Monkey Deep in the Woods by Matt Danner and Tony Millionaire. Tony Millionaire illustrations are really, really great. I'll pick up anything that he does. I didn't know this was a novel when I got it, but I'm excited to jump in anyway. I also got a shirt. Picked up a House of Secrets shirt. This is the first appearance of the cover for the first appearance of Swamp Thing. The reason I got this is I started getting into some old school 70s horror books, and like this shit's just cool, man. I also picked up Black Sad. So for anyone that hasn't read Black Sad, I've read these already. The reason that I got them was because they were maybe my favorite book that I read last year. If not my favorite book, then top 2. It's a book I've been avoiding for a long time because it has this like kind of furry connotation to it. And like Black Sad is a sexy time. Let's just get that out of the way. But it's also like this crazy noir mystery. The level of craft in these books is undeniable. Like if you haven't picked up Black Sad, pick up Black Sad. Because if you have any love for the way comics are made, you will love these books. This is the first one, just Black Sad, and it has like a bunch of shorter stories. This is actually the third one. I'm missing the second. I'll track it down eventually. Thank you, Brave New Worlds. Hey, if you've got a comic shop that you really love, you should let me know in the comments. I know this is like one of those dumb YouTube call to actions, but I actually really want to know what comic book shops that you really love out there. You got something in Argentina, you got something in Europe, like tell me about your comic book shop. I love comic book shops and I want to hear about them. So this isn't like, I hate those YouTube call to actions, but I honestly do want to talk about comic book shops because I think they're awesome. The only shop that I didn't order from that I really am thinking about is Sarge's Comics. Sarge's Comics was my childhood comic book store in Connecticut, but it's not the same Sarge's as it used to be when I was a kid. Time moves on, things change, you know, what can you do? So they're going to be a priority for the next round of books that I get. Until then, we'll just keep cracking these, I guess. Next book, it comes from New Jersey. It is from Funny Books. I think they're an important shop because they are very close to the Kubert School. And a lot of Cubies end up shopping there. Not only that, but they employed a buddy of mine that I met in college. They employed him as a teenager, and my friend still works there to this day. And he works there part-time. He's got a day job. He still loves it. He loves comic books, and he loves Funny Books. So if you go in, ask for Ziggy. And if you can't get Ziggy, still buy comics there. I don't know what to tell you. Just buy. It's a comic shop. Buy comics there. They also employed Amanda Connor for a while, which is kind of neat. There's a really great photo of their Halloween celebration, and like everybody's dressed up. And I think Ziggy went as Puck, and Amanda Connor is there as Gamora, I believe. I haven't seen the picture in a while. So anyway, Funny Books. I think it's an important shop. It's a shop I like, and I hope to get in there someday, and I wanted to support them, so let's see what we got. Whoo! First of all, they sent a note. Hey Nick, thanks for your purchase and for supporting shops like Funny Books, Comics, and Stuff. Also nice selections. Now you can finally fix that car. You'll get that in a second. It'll make sense. Threw in a copy of Action Pickle Kingdom #1 drawn by Ziggy, my friend from college. Now if only I could get him to draw issue 2. Thanks again, Funny Steve. Steve is the one who owns the shop. I picked up Maker Comics, Fix a Car. Who can, you can. Now, this is probably for kids, probably, but I've been getting into cars a little bit, and YouTube videos are sporadic and kind of not really great at teaching stuff, so I thought this would just be kind of interesting to read. But beyond that, Chris Schweitzer put it out, and he's a national treasure. Like, he is a comic book national treasure. I'll support anything he makes. I'll read anything he makes. So I picked it up. What else do we get? We got a bunch of Hulk trades. These are thin trades, by the way. Look at this. Look at this. These guys are thin boys. It's probably only 4 or 5 issues, maybe. But the reason I got this is because it's a Hulk body horror. Like, he's unkillable, the immortal Hulk. Like, he just keeps going in really weird, kind of like twisted horror ways. This is the only Hulk book since the 70s that has been the best-selling book for a week or a month or whatever. So it's sold like crazy. It's kind of like a sleeper hit, and I want to crack it. I want to get into it. I don't normally buy comics like this in paper. I usually buy them digital because I don't want them cluttering my house, but I feel like Immortal Hulk is one of those books that I'm going to read, enjoy, and then be able to gift to a friend of mine. So when I know that I'm going to be able to pass it off to someone, I usually pick it up in paper. And here is Action Pickle Kingdom. This one's by Ziggy. And you got the Action Figure Kingdom site and everything. I'm excited to read this. He did this kind of like old-timey like beat cover, which is kind of cool. So let me check that out. I also picked up 3, 4, and 5 of Simpsons Colossal Compendium. I'm a big Simpsons fan. I've been a Simpsons fan for a long time. I'm kind of the age where it's like the sweet spot of like when the Simpsons were really, really great. Was when I was watching. I jumped into 3, 4, 5 because they didn't have 1 and 2, but you know what? I don't think there's going to be some deep lore that I'm missing from missing the first 2 volumes. I hope these are really good. I hope they're funny. You can get these digitally, but they're in their own app. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pick them up in paper. If I read them and I love them, they'll also go to a friend of mine probably after I'm done. Stoked on The Simpsons. Okay, now we're in the main event. This box was so freaking heavy. It's gigantic. It's actually a short box just wrapped in cardboard. And it comes from Charlotte, North Carolina. Comes from Heroes Aren't Hard to Find. They not only are they a great shop, and they're great for back issues, as you're about to see, but they're also a great shop because they put on one of the largest independently run comic book conventions in the country. And that convention is spectacular. If you are part of the comic book community, you show up to Heroes. That is how that works. It is entirely focused on comic books. It is not a lot of celebrity appearances, not a lot of vendors. It's mostly creators there. And it's tough as a creator to make a lot of money at that show because there's so many great creators there. The last year I went, Chris Claremont was there, for example, like a guy who doesn't do a lot of shows. But it's great. It's great if you love comic books. You should come to that show and you should show your portfolio and you should pick up some signatures from people and you should buy some zines and the next time they have that show going, you should go. So they had to cancel it for 2020 because of everything, but I figured I'd support them and I'd buy a literal ton of comic books. This is a literal ton. I'm about to lift it. It's a literal ton. Oh, God, why? We're gonna get into this. This thing is packed. They threw in some stickers and a note. Thanks for the support, Nick. We appreciate you, Seth. Now, Seth put together the box for me. When I first went to Heroes, God, 8 years ago, they have this giant warehouse of comics, right? In this warehouse, it's just floor-to-ceiling comic books, long boxes. There's steel beams holding them up that are bending. It is if you love comic books, it is an intense ride. And they introduced me to Seth, and they were like, this dude's the Bloodhound. This dude knows every single comic book in this place. And it's more comics than I've ever seen in one place ever. They buy a lot of collections from people. They have a lot of older, expensive comic books. And so I'm like, huh. And he's like, yeah, try stump me. I don't know if he said that. I'm just interjecting that. So I was trying to stump him. And he goes, I was like, man, what am I gonna say? So I was like, Seth, what's the worst comic book in this building? And so he came back with some truly magnificently terrible comics. And ever since then, I keep buying terrible comics from them. These are not all terrible comics. In fact, I just ordered good comics that I actually want. But they buy a lot of, I buy a lot of terrible comics. And since then, every year I go, I pick up terrible, terrible comics. Some of them are really great terrible. Some of them are trash. And I kind of go through every year and kind of pick out the ones I like and, chuck the rest. And I really love it. Let's see what we got in the box. Oh, first, there's a trade paperback. This is Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. It's a book that came recommended to me by a lot of different people. I feel like it was, I don't know if I'm imagining it, but it was on a lot of lists. It looks like just a great little relationship comic. One color, really well drawn. Every preview I saw, I was like, this looks really great. I'm gonna give it a shot. This is a romance comic is something that I would have never bought when I was out of high school or out of college because I was like, I'm too cool for that. But lately I've been opening myself to stuff that's not in my wheelhouse and getting rewarded from it, like stuff that I didn't think I would like that it turns out I love. So I'm giving romance comics a shot, and I'm giving Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me a shot. All right. Here's the first stack. You ready? I don't know. It's a big reveal. Picked up some Marvel Comics Presents Weapon X. This is the infamous Barry Windsor Smith run. This is not the origin of Wolverine, but the origin of his metal claws. For anyone who hasn't read this, you really should read this. It is an incredible book. Barry Windsor Smith does excellent color work in here, and he actually built the color to work with the newsprint of the page. And he's a little bit infamous for hating the reproductions, because the reproductions are on better paper. And if it's on better paper, it's handling the ink a little better, and it's not fading as much. So to him, it looks a little like garish. I think this is the full run of it. Let me see if we have the Weapon X trade actually kicking around here. So you can see, like, from the cover, like, this is newsprint, but the cover is better paper, and it prints well like this. But I guess we're going to open one up. I'm kind of nervous about this because I feel like I want to handle these very delicately. Let's fold the tape down so we don't fuck up the comic. Okay. All right, we're going to compare and contrast right now. So you can see the paper has aged the comic. And when you look at, let me get to that page. When you look at this versus, I'm folding this because, oh my God, I've had this trade forever, and it's already dinged up to hell. Whoa, let's be cool about comics. So if you look at that, you have very different experiences. And this one on the left is the one that Barry Windsor Smith wanted you to experience when he made the color. And the thing that made me respect the color work that's in here is, like, you look at this hand over here, and you can see him, like, thinking about color in a really great way. Like, you see these little specks of blue in here, and you're like, man, this guy gets it. Like, this is pro colorist stuff. Like, this little bit of yellow in here, and like around the head, is like perfect. But then you look at it here, and it's subtle. It's very, very subtle. And like the little specks of blue, very subtle, and it works so well here. So I'm really excited to be very, very careful with these issues and read through them, and hopefully keep reading through them, and hopefully not read through them so much that I destroy the book like I kind of have with this. But let's bag and board this guy. Okay, now, they can't all be Barry Windsor Smith Weapon X. I picked up Crystar, the Crystal Warrior. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is a Marvel book that was built to sell toys, but I think this is one of those things. It's like Marvel at this time was like really experimenting with things. They were really trying to get stuff to sell in like weird ways. Like the 70s and 80s, I feel like both Marvel and DC were just like throwing stuff at the wall, like what's going to work, what's not. And this is one of them. Another great Marvel book that is like that is Steel Town Rockers. It's like follows like a rock band in the Marvel universe. It's very weird. So yeah, this is something I'm really, really excited on. The issues are falling over in there. So I got all of them except for one, because I think I had an issue. Yeah, I have 4. I have issue 4. So this fills out. This is only 11 issues for all of Crystar Crystal Warriors adventures. So, you know. Now, I know I said that they can't all be Barry Windsor Smith Weapon X level, but what if they can? I picked up some Electro Assassin. I had, I think, one of these issues. This is Bill Sienkiewicz is his work. All these comics are full painted, I believe. I had one of these originally. Yes, I had issue 5, so that one's missing out of this stack. But I was like, I picked up 5 because I saw it in a shop and I was like, I've never read this in paper. This is like an incredible book. It's 1987, so it's like older, and I was like, I gotta have this issue. And you know, of course, I read the trade paperback that's kicking around here somewhere. But I was like, you know what? I have the issue. Let's collect the actual full thing. Let's collect all the issues. Because it's worth it. Electro Assassin, it's like a classic. All right. I got some odds and ends from my childhood. Or kind of from, some of them are from my childhood. Some are odds and ends. I don't know. We'll see. Here it is. Drywall Unzipped. This is a spin-off of Scud the Disposable Assassin. Scud and Max, the Max, are kind of the reason why I'm in comics. This was another spin-off, La Cosa Nostroid. This is about a robot mafia in the Scud world. Scud the Disposable Assassin, for anybody who doesn't know, is a world. It's written by Rob Schrab, and it's about a world where you could buy an assassin from a vending machine. And after the robot assassin kills his target, this is a like Elseworlds one-shot, Scud Tales from the Vending Machine. So you could buy this robot out of a vending machine, he kills your target, he self-destructs. Scud figures this out, and then he's like, well, I don't want to die, so he keeps his target on life support, and then injures him, puts him on life support, and then kind of work for hire, freelance. Right? We know that. We know how that goes. Here's another Tales from the Vending Machine. And then I was missing a couple of issues of Scud. They were kind of hard to get in 1997 because it was independent comics. It's Fireman Press. This is like Rob Schrab's company, you know. It was tough to distribute comics in the 80s and 90s. And so I was happy to fill a couple holes in the collection, but there's some others that I still am looking for. So we're going to see if we can find them over the years. The Max number 27, this is the only one I didn't have for some reason. I like went through my collection. I was like, where the heck? It's such a weird issue to just go missing. Maybe my comic shop didn't get a lot of 27s and I just missed it as a kid. But for whatever reason, I didn't have number 27. And Assassination. I don't know if you guys read this. This is newer. This is not from my childhood. Kyle Starks and Erica Henderson. Just a great book about this stack is all assassins all the time, even Electro Assassin. Assassination is this. I don't want to spoil anything for you. Kyle Starks wrote it. It's very funny. It's very fun. Erica Henderson not only drew it but like colored it herself, and she's like buck wild with the colors. It's really like fun, bright, and like interpretive of color in like a really interesting way. I really loved it. I was gonna pick up issue 5 from one of them at a Comic-Con, but there's no Comic-Cons, so here we are. This is the last issue of the run. I had all the others filling out the run. Okay, this next one's crazy. So I'm going to talk to you about this next group while we flip through them. I'm a sucker for 2099. You guys know it. One of the first streams I did, I was recoloring some Spider-Man 2099. I love the universe, and let me tell you why. Let me make my case for not only Spider-Man 2099, but the whole line. So I haven't read the whole line. I've been like slowly kind of collecting it. I've read all the Spider-Man stuff. I have all that. When I was buying the Spider-Man issues, I was buying lots on eBay, like big groups of comics, and they would have like an occasional Ravage or an occasional Fantastic Four, whatever. So I ended up with all the Spider-Man run and like a little bit of everything else. Now, here's my case for 2099. Everybody knows Rick Leonardi, Spider-Man 2099. It's great stuff. And Spider-Man was the most successful book out of there. However, hear me out for the rest of it. Marvel is toying around in the mid-90s with creating a universe that is separate from the Marvel universe. Meaning, like, no more baggage with, like, continuity and all that stuff. None of that weighing down. A new reader could just jump in, pick up a Marvel comic. And this did okay. It did okay. Spider-Man did well. The rest of the line, I hear the Doom book's really good. A lot of them were like under 12 issues and done. Like I think Ghost Rider didn't do well. Fantastic Four did awful. Ravage didn't do so hot. Ravage was a new character for 2099 that was made by Stan Lee, which is actually pretty neat, and I kind of want to get into that. So I'm excited to read them. I got some specials out of the group too. These like crazy like sketchbooks for like the world, which is weird. Okay, so that's what 2099 is. Here's why I think it's important. 2099, I have a theory. I have a theory. 2099 is the prototype for the Ultimate Universe that Marvel eventually made in the early 2000s. If you look at like what they were trying to do with 2099, I think that they tried to figure out what they needed to do, and based on their successes and failures within the 2099 world, they were like, okay, let's do this again, but with our own characters, and it's just an alternate universe, but we're not going to set it in the future, we're just going to set it now. And that's when they made the Ultimate Universe, and that's when they started to make it like work a little better. Eventually the Ultimates get like, you know, committed into our universe. I think it's all one piece. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that I think there's a direct line between 2099 and the Ultimates universe, and I would like to read both stacks and try to figure this shit out, you know? Let's put on the tinfoil hat and like, let's look for evidence. That's all the 2099 stuff. Okay, all right, so speaking of childhood, there's a lot of childhood in this box. Or I guess formative years. So Batman the Animated Series is a big deal for a lot of people that are my age because it came out at a time where we were young and impressionable. It was high quality animation. It was great stories. It was a great jumping on point for Batman. And a lot of people, I mean, I don't know about a lot of people, but I started picking up Batman at the time. And during the time that the cartoon was on, they were doing the Batman No Man's Land story about the earthquake in Gotham, and Gotham became like a dead zone. The government just like blew up the bridges, like they isolated it, and Batman was forced to kind of like be the only law in town with like a ragtag police force as like criminals just kind of like ran amok. It was a great story, and it complemented the television show so well. I got so into Batman at this time that I was picking up every single Batman book except for these. I was not picking up the Batman animated series because I was like, I'm a cool guy. I'm an adult. Like, I'm not going to pick up comics for babies. And I regret it. I should have picked these up because not only is the first appearance of Harley Quinn in here, not in this stack, but the first appearance of Harley Quinn is in here. And it's also just like really great cartooning, really great comics. And beyond that, once I went to college and I started working in comics, and I started working at Xylanol Studios in Savannah, Georgia with Lee Lowridge. He was working on the Batman animated books, and he was so proud of his work on those Batman animated books that he was putting them on t-shirts and stuff like that. Like he put his Xylanol logo with like a little Batman from the Batman animated series. And I remember at the time thinking like, this is the bar for color. Like I have to hit this bar in order to be a professional. And I'm really looking forward to reading these all over again. Now, all of these are available digital. I'll probably read them digitally and not open these up, but these comics mean so much to me, like from that experience of being at the shop and getting the DC box and reading a bunch of DC stuff, and then also, you know, seeing like stacks of these in the office. Like I picked up a couple. The few that I have in my collection are from that experience, from being in the office and getting those comps. So I really love these books, and I want to collect them in paper, even though I'm probably going to read them in digital. Hold on one second. We got some weirdos in the box. Oh, Oh, some terrible comics from the Filardi file over at Heroes Aren't Hard to Find. Let's see what we got. Daffy Gaddafi, Malice in Wonderland, the classic pairing that everybody wanted. We got Major Damage. This is super common. The 90s kind of ruined comics for a little while, in my opinion. But like this kind of stuff, this whole thing, super machismo, muscles all over the place, lines everywhere, anatomy doesn't matter. We're in the weeds, we're off the rails. Major Damage from Invictus Studios. Perfect. I'm sure this comic is perfect. And then, Three Ninjas Kick Back. One of three. Three ninjas, 3 issues. That's all you need to tell the movie, the hour-long movie, from Now Comics. Now it's comics. It wasn't before. Now it's comics. Thank you for going through the boxes with me. I hope you support your comic book shop. They're really going through a tough time, like I said in the opener. The coronavirus is hitting them hard. So please, if you have the means, if you have the money, pick up comics at your local comic book store. They'll really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.